baby boomers. And I'm your host, Dolores Clivert. And we have a co-host,
Erica Carmichael.
All right. I love it. I love it. She sings her name. Say that again.
Erica Carmichael.
So we left off. We're talking about grief and how it affects you, how you handle it, prepare for it, and during the break, a lot of conversation was going on, and our engineer. Michelle Wilson.
Wait, let me sing my name.
Sing it, girl.
Michelle Wilson.
Oh.
She sings too. Well, let me see. Dolores Clivert.
Yeah.
I love it. That's soprano. Okay. So, we were having a discussion and things were brought up and talked and bantered back and forth. And, people going through grief are going through grief for a reason. There are reasons. But life doesn't stop. Decisions have to be made. Mm-hmm. Choices have to be made. Mm-hmm. And sometimes grief is delayed. Sometimes grief is not happening because decisions are going against the grain. It's like my decision doesn't
add up with your decision
and things like that. So things happen, and I would like to come back with that. So Erica, I would like you to introduce that.
Okay, so what we were basically talking about was how when you could have siblings. I know I have two other brothers where one brother was not necessarily my dad. Well, not necessarily. He wasn't my dad's child, but my dad still brought him in, as his child. And then I had my other brother. So, my mom, it's three of us with my mom, but just two of us with my dad, and we were talking about how when you have multiple siblings or other people that are being added in on the dynamics of what's going on, as well as when you have multiple situations. And we were talking about when you have one parent that could be dying, another parent that's going through a different health thing, and then maybe a sibling that could be on the verge of passing also. And then having only that one person that's taking care of everything, and people not even being in agreement with everything, but they're not taking care of things.
They're not there to help or can't help or don't want to help.
Right,
but they don't agree with what you say and want to argue with you and say no,
Yes. Thankfully, I did not experience that. My younger brother and I, who were my dad's children, we were in agreement on whatever it was that I said that I wanted to do. If he wanted to insert, he did. If he didn't, well, whatever you decide, I'm good with, and he was. My older brother was more of, yes, I'm a part of the family, but he's biologically y'all's dad, so whatever y'all say, I'm just here to support you all.
Okay.
So we happened to have a good dynamic in that when it came to my dad's siblings, I don't believe that they all were in agreement 100% with everything, but I had one particular uncle that was like, look, that's your dad. And regardless of how we feel, you do what it is that your dad wanted.
So he gave you permission to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
But in other situations, that's not always the case.
Yeah, as we heard.
Yeah, during our break.
Yeah, during our break.
Yeah.
So that was my experience, but you do have experiences where you have that sibling that's like, oh, no, I don't want this done. Or, no, we can just put him... he could die over there on the corner and I'm okay. Whereas another person's like, no, we're going to do it like this, regardless of,
Yeah.
So Michelle comes into play here during that time frame because she told us a story that was like, hey, and Michelle, I'm going to let you come on in.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me again. I love the show. I love the subject matters. Yeah. One of the things that hit me was when you were talking about grieving and different forms of grieving. And it brought into my memory the experience I had when my parents were both given last rites at the same time. So the priest came to pray over their bodies because neither one of them were expected to live within a certain amount of time. what ended up happening, my mother recovered. My father did not eventually. But at one point in the house, my mother had a recovery nurse come in and do wound care. They were able to save her leg. She had a ruptured appendix or something like that, and it was poisoning her body. They had a hard time trying to figure it out and save her. My father had mesothelioma, and he was at the end of his life at the same time. So we had a hospice nurse upstairs. We had a recovery nurse downstairs. I have 4 siblings that I realized that,
Not in agreement.
Yeah, it was something. And I found myself, being the youngest, I found myself swimming in a sea of confusion, trying to figure out how in the world can I be happy for my mom, because my mother is going to be alive,
Right.
but she has to say goodbye to her husband, my dad, our dad. It was the most difficult, emotionally difficult time. And I can say this, grief is different. I noticed that I go into work mode when things like that happen.
That's how you.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
Process.
I don't
Yeah.
want to, I cannot, and I think you and I touched on this before.
Yes.
I'm not the kind to stare at a deceased person and stare at, I don't understand that practice, really.
Yeah, I don't do that.
The
either.
funeral thing, I don't understand that. So I don't participate in that. And I would get flack for that. And it's amazing to me that now I'm being told how to grieve something that you haven't been through, or if you have been through,
Right.
it's different for you.
Yes.
What people don't understand, grief is like fingerprints.
Sure.
Yes.
Fingerprints are unique and different to everyone. That grief is
Right.
as well.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And there's work to do when a person passes. There's work to do.
Yes.
You still have to carry them over.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of, okay, they're dead and everybody sits, talking about the repast. There's work to be done. And there are those who grieve and the tears flow and they
Right.
can't get themselves together and they shut down and they close off. I tend to help that person. I'm the one that helps that person.
Because
Right.
that's your personality.
That's my personality in grief. And so while I make sure everything is okay, it wasn't always okay with me, for me.
Right.
My mom eventually passed in 2019. Before she passed of Alzheimer's, my brother took ill and passed away. So my mother's bedridden. I elected to not tell my mom that her son passed away. And I caught hell for that. And I still believe that I made the right decision.
Yes, you did.
I prayed over it and it felt right. I didn't want my mom to be trapped in a body that failed her, trapped in a mind that failed her, and not know when those memories are going to pop up for her, and nobody can do anything for her. That she had her own journey of her end of life to get to. So she wasn't asking for him. She didn't even know who I was. I thought it would be cruel. Hey, Mom.
Yeah.
I want to force you to have a memory, and then I want you to grieve it.
Yeah.
Crazy
Yeah.
talk, as they say, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, I'm the person who's telling me this. I don't even know who they are right now.
Exactly.
So that's the thing with with grief is just getting people to understand that it's okay for everyone to grieve the way that they grieve. It's okay yours may take a little bit longer than someone else's. At the same time, these are, things that steps we can go through, things that we can do, letting everyone know, hey, if this person is grieving, this is how you can help them, or looking for certain signs. Like you're saying, hey, my thing is I go into work mode.
Right.
So it's having that friend or someone that's, okay, my girl is working herself to, let me say to her, hey, let's go out.
Let's go and have lunch. Let's go for a walk. And anticipating the needs of the person that still survived.
Yes.
that's still here and taking care of things. Recognize their signs of grief.
Yes.
You know, and you don't have to be a scientist to do
You
that.
really don't.
You just have to love the person
If
across
you know the
from
person
you.
and love the person, you're going to
You're going to see what it is.
Yes.
And if it's
difference.
not that important for you to state your case, it's not your grief.
Yes.
That's why sometimes we need to stay quiet.
Yes.
And it's okay to be quiet.
It
and
is.
and here's another thing too. With regard to my mother passed in 2019, and I owned a restaurant. And so I had to manage everything, including that. My siblings were not available to that at the level that I felt they should be, right? So when I closed my restaurant in 2023 and I came home, I recognized that I was grieving the whole entire time my mom was gone in different
Yeah.
things. Certain things I wouldn't pack, certain things I wouldn't unpack, things that the day she died, things that I just stopped doing.
Yeah.
I stopped worrying about it. And when I revisited those places and spaces, I said, I was overwhelmed. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. And I recognized then I haven't really fully come full circle with this.
Yes.
And I started mourning my mother again in 23, and she had been passed.
But it's okay.
And it's okay.
See, you just touched on that long time period of when you actually openly or recognize
Right.
your grief.
Yeah.
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I thought something was wrong with me.
You weren't alone. I thought something was wrong with me too. Trust.
But I didn't grieve. I didn't know. I didn't
Right.
grieve the way a lot of people grieve. And I went through my thing. I was trying to do what I needed to do, focus and everything. But then it was years later, and I realized my loss.
Yeah.
And I had to deal with it then. So, yeah, grief comes to us
In so many different ways.
so many different ways. We handle it different.
Yes.
Preparing
Yeah.
for your situation sometimes is the best
Right.
beforehand.
Yeah.
If you are the type that has to sit down when you lose a loved one or when illness strikes you or whatever causes you to begin the grief process, sit down. If you are a workhorse, work it out. But whatever you do, try not to ignore it.
Yes.
Try not to ignore where you are and where your head is with that. And if you don't know the 12 stages of grieving, please look it up.
Yes, please.
Because that will help you understand you're not crazy.
Yes.
You're not off the edge. You're not. It's a process.
You're going through a process.
You're going through a
Yes.
process. And the only way you will get not over it, but the only way you can deal with it is to go through it.
Right.
And it happens in your marriage. It happens in other significant
Yes.
relationships in your life. You're going to grieve.
You grieve in so many different areas other than, you know, like we were saying, death and stuff like that. And the thing, you know, all three of our grief situations was different, you know, and for me, I remember my pastor having to tell me, you're okay, because he could see me thinking like, okay, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing this. So I don't want someone to think that I didn't grieve, you know, my dad.
Or that
I
you
just
didn't
grieved
care.
it differently. I had the opportunity because he moved out of the country. My brother and I grieved him at that point 5 years prior to.
As he left, he removed himself.
He removed himself. Then he came back, and that was a whole nother situation because now, okay, you're back in the States. So now, okay, if you do die here, now we will get to have a, you know, a physical body, you know, and stuff like that. And so, you know, all the grief comes around differently.
Okay. Well, this show is, as I promised, it was informative. And I want to thank Michelle for coming in with her story and input.
Anytime.
And our co-host, Erica Carmichael. This is part 1 to a part 2. Please tune in for that. We're going to be talking about death and preparing for it. For the Love of Baby Boomers can be found on Facebook, YouTube, and Gmail. Please visit us, like, comment, and share.